If you somehow know nothing about Falling in Reverse, or if you just know them from the Cardi shit, then back in the day, as in the early 2010s, i.e. when I was a kid, Falling in Reverse was a pretty big rock band that made rock music, and now they're even bigger. The band is infamous style due to their lead singer, Ronnie Radke. On the musical side, his vocals, age, and lyrical abilities overall have been put into intense scrutiny non-stop, and outside of the music, on Twitter especially, Ronnie has been a little bit too based. You see, Ronnie is no soy boy. This is not even mentioning one of their most infamous, recognizable songs, Game Over, which was big a few years ago because of this guy's TikTok. You've definitely seen this, no way you haven't. The general opinion of this band though is that they make bad music. I mean, to tell, all you have to do is look at their Rate Your Music album scores. That's not good at all, especially that one. Gee whiz. The person who inspired me to check out this band about a year ago at this point is Brad, a live streamer that I used to watch a lot. So, about a year ago, I listened to their entire discography, made a little playlist of their best songs, and I just had it on repeat for so long that on stats.fm, within last year, they became number 5. But I haven't listened purely to their albums in a long time, and now with this platform I want to ask the question of, was Falling in Reverse actually bad, or is Falling in Reverse overhated, or whatever this video is titled right now? It's time to commence the re-listening process. Okay, so for you that was less than 2 seconds, but for me it's been like 2 to 3 days. I just wanted you to know that. Realistically, it's actually been like 4 days. This is their first album that they've ever made, and it has plenty of classic songs like Naturally, The Drug in Me Is You, Good Girls, Bad Guys, and I'm Not a Vampire. As we know with artists like Lil Uzi Vert and AJR, a few good songs don't save an album. So how good is this one? I want to actually talk about Ronnie's vocal abilities because they're the same for most of his albums, and the most controversial part of this entire band. For me, it's what keeps me listening to Falling in Reverse, since I find his vocals to be uniquely and honestly great in a lot of songs. He's a great singer, and this album showcases that fact with songs like Sink or Swim, The Drug in Me Is You, and Tragic Magic. And with another singer, these songs wouldn't feel as unique as they all are. On the other hand, I don't listen to rock that often, so take my opinion with a grain of salt if you want to. Me enjoying these vocals doesn't change the fact that sometimes his voice is really funny in songs. So why do good girls like bad guys? I've had this question for a really long time. It was a meme a few years ago for a good reason. Unlike basically anyone I've ever listened to before, his vocals occasionally backfire in songs like Good Girls, Caught Like a Fly, and Don't Mess with the Ouija Boards. Don't mess with fucking Ouija boards. And sometimes they can't save songs like I'm Not a Vampire due to lyrical reasons or instrumental ones. Lyrically, this album is fine. It's no coming home, but it's serviceable and effective at getting you energized and into the atmosphere of each song, as none of this is supposed to be super deep or thought-provoking. Functionally, they're like alright bars in a trap song. Nothing crazy, but solid for what they're supposed to do. Well, that's what I would say if 5 out of the 11 songs weren't lyrically wacko style. Nothing from Good Girls, Phone, or Ouija Boards is good, and although it's not on the original album, going back to listen to the original I'm Not a Vampire is so much worse than the revamped version of the song. The lyrics just don't work as well as a high-energy rock song, and I don't appreciate it. Caught Like a Fly is a more interesting one. It takes a super stupid instrumental most of the time, which completely kills your ability to take it seriously. Ronnie, please stop cloud maxing or I'm gonna honk your nose! Falling in Reverse is known for at least having amazing instrumentals, even by people who hate Ronnie and his singing and lyrics. This album is no exception. It's an amazing album if you just look at the instrumentals, even Caught Like a Fly kind of. Its chorus instrumental is great, its bridge is great, just the whole cloud maxing aesthetic is something that I don't rock with. This album is a mixed bag. We have great songs like Goodbye Graceful, The Westerner, Tragic Magic, and The Drug in Me Is You, but we also have songs like Pick Up the Phone and Ouija Boards on the same album. To me, 6 out of 11 of the songs are great, and 5 out of 11 of the songs aren't, but overall, I'll say that this is an easy 2.5 out of 5 project. Flawed but not horrible, and there are some redeeming qualities. But if you know anything about Falling in Reverse, you know how insane that right after this, they created their next album, Fashionably Late.
Victorious! And every day that I awake, I say a prayer and I give thanks that I'm alive and I am glad that I've been given one.
Trying hard to save the girl, obstacles I'm jumping hurdles.
I'm growing up to be a big boy.
Fashionably Late was a really weird sudden low point in musical quality for Falling in Reverse, and thus it's their most infamously well-known album with songs like Game Over, Bad Girls Club, and Alone, where he raps, and Jesus Christ, how he's improved from making shit like this. to making tracks like Zombified and Watch the World Burn. The strangest part about all of this though is that I've heard this album at least 60 times already, and none of those times have I enjoyed it. For some reason, instead of Coming Home or even The Drug and Me, I listened to this album on repeat, and let me tell you again, I didn't enjoy it. I heard this album so many times that I remember every single song from their first line, which parts I specifically dislike, and every stupid little detail like that. So me talking about this album, weird voice crack. So me talking about this album on this channel at some point in some fashion was inevitable. In some late fashion, I guess, if you're fucking late. The vocals are one of the strongest parts of the entire album, though it definitely doesn't save it at all because the lyrics are so fucking bad. I know you regret hearing me sing at the very start of this section because those lyrics are ass, and also because I'm not a singer, mostly because I'm not a singer, well actually because those lyrics suck. I'm growing up to be a big boy from Game Over is a crazy ass line for anyone over the age of 10 to say in any song. And lines like, you must agree I got that white boy swagger rap right down to a T from Rolling Stone, or gonna take that spot on the top, quick call it statutory rape from Champion, completely kills the momentum for both of these songs. And that's just 2 songs with rap sections. Alone is fucking horrible, and the whole thing is rapping with minimal singing and constant lyrical quality on a quick call it statutory rape level. This has to do with the fact that Ronnie Radke is almost the only lyricist on the album, unlike the last one who had this guy named Dave Holdridge also write. Clearly he was super important since he must have had a big hand in creating the previous great tracks like my personal favorites, Sink or Swim and The Westerner. That's not to say that literally every single song is lyrically horrible, just mostly the ones with Ronnie as the only writer. It's Over When It's Over, Fuck the Rest, Born to Lead, Where Have You Been, Goddamn, and Self-Destruct Personality all have way better lyrics than most of the other songs, though this is because all 6 of those songs except Fuck the Rest have an additional writer. Each of these 6 songs bring the good elements in Ronnie's voice the most on this whole album, especially Where Have You Been, while tracks like Fashionably Late and even Game Over aren't good lyrically, but still pretty fun, catchy tracks that are fun to listen to despite their flaws. I do have to mention the song Drifter though, as a standout for being horrible. It has the same effect vocally and lyrically as their previous song, Good Girls, Bad Guys. About Drifter 2, the instrumental is so bad. I don't know why he decided to go with this really happy, poppy country sound, but it's fucking terrible and enhances how funny the track really is. And with Drifter, we have to think about the instrumental choices on the album. Occasionally just decides to take on a completely different sound with songs like Bad Girls Club, Drifter, and Keep Holding On. If these songs were all lyrically solid or something, I wouldn't mind, but they're all fucking horrible, and the instrumentals for each of these songs range from repulsive to accidentally funny. I don't hate most of the instrumentals of this album overall though, especially with tracks like Champion, Where Have You Been, Fuck the Rest, and Fashionably Late, as their instrumentals are super fun and catchy, especially Fashionably Late, which is one of my personal favorites on the album despite its poor lyricism because the instrumental and its vocal style covers for it. Overall, with instrumentals, it's kind of a mixed bag, but with Falling in Reverse, it only ever gets to kind of because they're masters at making instrumentals unless it's some shit like Drifter. I have a lot of criticism for this album, though that doesn't actually mean that I hate it. I like a lot of the songs, and kind of like a few. Kind of like as in, at blank point, I skip it because the part sucks. Kinda has to be Champion and Rolling Stone. As for the songs I actually like, that'd be Game Over. I know, my life is like a video game, but it did grow on me. Cause geez, the song sucks, but it's so fun. Fashionably Late, Born to Lead, Is Over When It's Over, Self-Destruct Personality, Where Have You Been, and Goddamn. I surprised myself with how many songs I actually liked from this album, totaling to 7 out of 15, this including the kind of like songs. That's as close to half the songs as you can get. It's just the fact that the good songs aren't like the best or really good. They're just solid songs that I come back to sometimes. And the bad songs are so bad, so repulsive, that it's impossible to not criticize and talk about them in depth. So ranking this one out of 5 is a little difficult, but I'm gonna go with a 1.5 out of 5 due to the horribleness a lot of these songs exude. I could also only like 7 of them because of me getting used to them, as last year this was almost my 5th most listened to album. But at least now that I'm an Alone Champion, I know it's over when it's over. When I've reached my Game Over screen at a fashionably late time and my self-destruct personality tells me
you wanna get out of here?
Yes, that I was not only born to lead, but it was time to listen to the next goddamn album. Somehow we've hit an even lower point in Falling in Reverse's discography. Yeah, I mean it, even lower than Fashionably Late. It's difficult to talk about this album at length because it, as you'd expect from their last few albums, has a few songs that are solid, But sadly, the majority of this project has the worst thing any album could have. Just okay songs. The middle of this album is all that's seriously worth talking about. After God If You're Above and Guillotine until My Apocalypse, the album just becomes boring. What I really hate about boring music is that it's almost impossible to talk about in detail because each element that makes it work is there, but nothing makes a song worthwhile to come back to. Explaining why Guillotine 4 is infinitely better than just the alright song, My Heart's to Blame, almost can't be done because one is just better than the other. Guillotine 4 just does what My Heart does better, and that's the case for most of the tracks on this album. Something that I can't exactly put my tongue on about the middle of this album is so much worse than everything else. I don't have many feelings about this project, it's just really boring. Sure, it has its bad songs like Sexy Drug and Just Like You, but it has nothing else. 0.5 out of 5. Coming Home is their currently final, fully finished album, and it blows everything else they created out of the water. Despite this, it's also their most slept on album, as shown by the views on YouTube for this album's songs and the amount of people who reviewed it on Album of the Year and Rate Your Music. My guess as to why this is the case is because Just Like You was such a lame, unstandout album that it hurt this one's ability to get out there afterwards. And due to when this came out and its pretty consistent high quality and express lack of shockingly bad tracks, it didn't gain infamy or popularity like the previous ones. At this point they kind of fell off, even though in my opinion it was their definite high point when it came to making purely rock music. This is a show of Ronnie's best vocal abilities easily. It's still clearly him, but in songs like Loser, I'm Bad at Life, Coming Home, I Don't Mind, and Straight to Hell, he's just better. When I first heard Coming Home, the first track of the album, like a year ago at this point, I didn't even think it was Ronnie, and I was sure that they had an entirely different singer. Besides with the general tone of this album, I don't think his really fun, memorable, usually goofy voice from tracks like Fucking Game Over and Tragic Magic would have worked well with I'd say darker instrumentals of songs like Straight to Hell and Loser. I'm gonna try and make a mashup of Game Over and Loser real quick to prove my point, because at this moment that sounds really funny. Lyrically, this is their best finished project. It remains consistent with its darker tone in songs like I'm Bad at Life, Straight to Hell, I Don't Mind, The Departure, and Broken, and to me, I understand most songs, as him seriously self-reflecting on who he was in the past with songs like I Don't Mind, where throughout the song he talks about how he feels as if he's becoming like his mother, the person who he resents the most, or especially Straight to Hell, where he talks about how he isn't a great person, though some see him as one. It's not the deepest, craziest stuff in the world, but this consistency is just something they didn't keep in their previous albums, and lyrically, it all makes great rock songs. Falling in Reverse's instrumental abilities on all their albums have consistently been the best part of them, and on this album that's no different. It takes an overall darker atmosphere with songs like Loser, Straight to Hell, The Departure, I'm Bad at Life, I Don't Mind, and overall, they just do what they've done to the greatest possible effect on this album. I think this project is amazing, and to me, kind of a heavy show of the potential for what they could have done moving forward. But instead they took a really long hiatus from making albums since singles did astronomically better. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 and move to where we are now. This album's been in development for like the last 3 years, and with what we have now, I understand it. When he said, the monsters aren't living under your bed, cause they are the voices in your head, I was like, alright, this is one of my favorite Falling in Reverse songs. Ronnie Radke actually raps on this one a lot, and it's really good, like actually really, really good. And songs like Popular Monster, Voices in My Head, Watch the World Burn, and Zombified. Of course, there's still plenty of singing in these songs, as Ronnie at the end of the day is a singer, but really last time we heard him rap, we got songs like Alone and Brother. He also goes straight up madness mode on Ronald, which was very, very entertaining to hear. I also like this song because of its instrumental. About the instrumentals, in songs like Popular Monster, Watch the Word Burn, Ronald, and Zombified, I think they're some of the best and most creative in all Falling in Reverse's discography, especially Zombified. I can't get enough of that song. Some of them are really weak though, like All in My Life and Last Resort. Lyrically, this is definitely going to be a controversial one, since Ronnie Radke is no soy boy, and some songs are at least kinda political. Depending on who you are, tracks with titles like Trigger Warning and lyrics from Zombified like, they're canceling you, or nowadays everybody's so sensitive. You'll either be like, or not care at all, or be like, hell yeah, brother, speak your truth. I'm more in the middle of not caring at all, and hell yeah, brother. So none of that factors in for me disliking the music. In fact, Zombified is one of my favorite tracks not just because I don't mind what the song is saying, but also because every element of it is on point. It's one of their most catchy songs, and this sort of thing lyrically goes for songs like Watch the Word Burn, Voices in My Head, and Popular Monster. Everything about All My Life, though, is a complete mistake. No, Ronnie, you can't make Drifter again! The least words for the best project. Hey, technically, it doesn't even exist yet, so I guess the best is Coming Home. This is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. 7 pages of words and like 2 to 3 days of writing and listening to Falling in Reverse have finally got us to this point. I mean, to you, I'm guessing it's been like 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a good guess. So 15 minutes of listening to me talk in depth about these albums have got us to this point. Now we can definitively answer, was Falling in Reverse ever bad? Yes. And you can point to exactly when that was. Between 2013 and 2015, they released their 2 worst albums, Fashionably Late and Just Like You. So during this period, they were bad, but this was just a specific low point in their music making journey, especially if you just count this as Ronnie's music making journey, as before Falling in Reverse, he was a lead singer in Escape the Fate, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion, which is an amazing project with songs like Situations, Reverse the Curse, and Friends with Alibis. It came out in 2006, and 2 of these songs are so good that they're still some of the most popular Escape the Fate songs on Spotify in 2024. So aside from that small 2-year period where they created a generationally horrendous album, an album that I describe as the click of rock music, and the most boring rock album you could possibly torture yourself to, or the X of rock, they've overall made some pretty good music with 1 okay album and 1 amazing album, and 1 album on the way that, to me at least, is shaping up to be yet another great project. Falling in Reverse gets an overall score of 12 out of 25, or 2.4 out of 5. It's almost right in the middle, I know, but I think Falling in Reverse can and has made great music. I hope you enjoyed this longer video since it took a really long time to make. Subscribe, like, and comment some mashup ideas for background music, read my comic, and goodbye.